Deep in a creepy swamp. Next!
CapeCast.
Howdy folks, I'm Eric Williams and welcome to CapeCast, the official webcast of the Cape Cod Times for September 18th. We get scared at the Atlantic White Cedar Swamp in South Wellfleet in the second half of the show, but first let's take a look at news. In breaking news, firefighters extinguished a blaze aboard the Highline fast ferry Lady Martha this morning that apparently started as the vessel was returning from Oak Bluffs. 4 crew members were transported for smoke inhalation. Ferry service will be affected by the fire. Stay tuned to CapeCodOnline.com for updates on this story. In the Don't Legalize It department, law enforcement officials stood on the State House steps yesterday to denounce Question 2 on the November 4th ballot, which would decriminalize the possession of small amounts of marijuana. Cape and Islands District Attorney Michael O'Keefe called it a radical measure that would worsen the problem created by drugs in our communities. Hey folks, CapeCast descended into the murkiest, scariest walking trail on Cape Cod yesterday. We're at the Atlantic White Cedar Swamp Trail in South Wellfleet, a delightful National Park Service trail. And you may ask yourself, what's a swamp? I don't see too many on Cape Cod. Well, a swamp is a seasonally flooded bottomland, much like my toddler's diaper, that has more woody plants than a marsh and better drainage than a bog. Well, the walk's starting off on a bit of an ominous note here. Someone scrawled in chalk on this bench the following message: "Don't walk off the trail, tourist. Clean up after your twerp kid." Isn't this how the movie Deliverance started? Well, to get to the good stuff here at the Atlantic White Cedar Swamp Trail, you have to go in this piney forest and down a hill to the wet spot where the swamp is, and the cedar trees, and the boardwalk, and all the mystery. We've made it to the swamp, and it's kind of funny. It was a sunny day up there in the big world, but down here in the cedar swamp, it's 5 degrees cooler, murkier, and kind of eerie in one of those Blair Witch kind of ways. Perhaps 5,000 years ago, Atlantic white cedar began to grow on Cape Cod wherever there was wet ground or a swamp. The forested swamps were quickly cleared once European colonists arrived. Cedar wood was light, it resisted decay, and it was easy to shape. But the Atlantic White Cedar Swamp lives on, at least for now. It is likely that red maple and tupelo will, in turn, become invaders, and the seedlings of Atlantic White Cedar will eventually fail to grow in the deep shade. So enjoy it now. Every time I see these beautiful cedar trees, I think, how many humidors could I make? Oh, my cigars would be so happy. And then I think, well, it's part of the natural world and the national seashore, so it's probably best not to chainsaw them. Sure, we've seen a lot of interesting stuff above the boardwalk, but what goes on below? Let's take a look. One of the interesting new interactive features at the Atlantic White Cedar Swamp Trail is the interpretive dance. While the Park Service doesn't charge a fee to come in here and see all this splendor, they do require that you perform a small modern dance called Soul of the Cedar. Like this. Now let's check the all-important Cape and Islands weather forecast, backed by Marconi Overlook video from South Wellfleet. For tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 49, and for Friday, sunny with a high near 60. Okay, we've got to get out of here. This has been CapeCast for September 18th. Till next time, see ya!
CapeCast.